What's up, Laker Nation? Coming up on today's show, the latest Lakers trade rumors. But first, we've seen a flurry of deals already happen in the lead-up to the NBA trade deadline. CJ McCollum to the New Orleans Pelicans, Tyrese Halliburton, surprising trade to the Indiana Pacers. But on Thursday, for the NBA trade deadline, we'll be going live on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and join us, youtube.com/ChatSportsTV. Our coverage starts at 1 o'clock. And of course, here on the Lakers Report, we have you covered with all of the Lakers moves. Welcome into the Lakers Report by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Chase Sr. We're diving into the latest Lakers trade rumors, and we start off by getting into the latest around Josh Richardson. Got off to a really rocky start with the Boston Celtics in the last couple of years with the Philadelphia 76ers, Dallas Mavericks, and to start the year with the Celtics. Wasn't a good player, but the last few weeks, he's really turned it on of late, becoming a very good defensive player and an occasional pretty solid offensive player as well. According to reports, the Lakers have shown a little bit of interest in the two-way player currently with Boston, a 3-and-D player who's bounced kind of back from a sluggish and slow start with the Boston Celtics, and the rumored trade package would likely include Talen Horton-Tucker going to Boston in exchange for Josh Richardson. So really, you'd be parting away with a young player in exchange for a veteran player, which is something that I kind of like for the Los Angeles Lakers. Look, we're at a point right now where Talen Horton-Tucker isn't living up to the expectations of that contract that he signed in NBA free agency. And by bringing in Josh Richardson, you're bringing in a veteran player who'd be able to help you compete for a championship now. Maybe he'll be able to better help you compete for a championship this year because he's more of a veteran presence as compared to THT. It's all good, Trace. So this is what that trade rumor is. You don't have to show it, but I'll get to it, and I'll kind of read it off here. A new intriguing suitor for Richardson is the Los Angeles Lakers, given their collection of assets. This coming from MassLive. The team has been shopping a package of Talen Horton-Tucker, Kendrick Nunn, and a future first-round pick for several weeks in hopes of landing an impact veteran, sources tell MassLive. And Talen Horton-Tucker could be that player for the Boston Celtics to get back for Josh Richardson. And right now, the Celtics are a team that started off the year slow, kind of like Josh Richardson, but the last couple of weeks, they've been able to turn it on as well as they've gotten hot. So they're in a predicament right now where they're not sure if they're going to make a trade, and if they do, is it a trade to help them build for the future, or is it a trade to help them compete right now? Josh Richardson, this is what I do know about him. He'd certainly help give the Lakers a little bit of a defensive edge. He's got that bulldog mentality on that end of the floor, and he's always been a very solid defensive player. And the Lakers have been porous on that end of the floor all throughout the year, and that's supposed to be Frank Vogel's specialty, but he doesn't have a lot of good guards who are good defensive playmakers at the guard spot. That's what Josh Richardson would be. Now, for me, he's way too up and down, riding the seesaw on the offensive end of the floor, but defensively, he's been pretty solid. And as I talked about, he's turned it on offensively over the last couple of weeks. You take a look at his numbers this year, he's getting around 25 minutes per game, averaging just a tick under 10 points per. Field goal percentage, really just okay at 29%, three-point percentage at 40%. So for him to knock down threes at a 40% clip, really good numbers for him. And we talk about him giving this team an edge defensively. He could do that offensively as well as a floor stretcher. So here's that reported trade offer from MassLive. Lakers would get Josh Richardson. The Celtics would get back Talen Horton-Tucker, as well as that coveted 2027 first-round pick. Look, that's somewhat a lot to give up for a player like Josh Richardson. But if LeBron, Rob Pelinka, and the Lakers think, okay, we can compete this year with Josh Richardson, maybe they pull the trigger on that deal. Who wins the trade? Your opportunity to hop on board, join the show, and let me know. Type L for the Lakers, type C for the Celtics. Make sure you get your votes in the comment section down below. Here on the Lakers Report, we always love our audience engagement and audience interaction. I want to hear from you, Laker Nation, right now in the comment section. Now, the vet, as I talked about, might give you more than Talen Horton-Tucker this year. And I think that is the thinking for the Lakers if they are to make this trade. I'd be hesitant to certainly do it. There's no doubt about that. But again, you're talking about a 37-year-old LeBron James, Anthony Davis, other veteran players. We know this roster skews a little bit older, so that's why they're thinking about bringing in some of these veterans as we approach Thursday's NBA trade deadline. And of course, we have you covered on our main Chat Sports YouTube channel as well as the Los Angeles Lakers Report. So make sure you hit that red subscribe button here on the channel to stay in the know with all things Lakers because, hey, we're a little bit more than 500 people away from 42,000 subscribers as one of the largest Lakers news and rumors channels on YouTube. So, hey, if you want coverage that's entertaining, informative, and consistent, hit that red subscribe button down below. We also give shout-outs to some of our loyal subscribers. I asked you on yesterday's show, get into the comment section if you're subbed and type me. First 10 people to do that, we'd give you a shout-out. So shout-out to all of these people that we are filtering on your screen right now. Appreciate all of you for being very loyal subscribers to the Los Angeles Lakers Report. And if you haven't subscribed, you ain't alive. Just hit that red subscribe button, and we'll keep you up to date with all things Lakers. Next up on the show, Pistons. Are they going to keep Jerami Grant, one of the best and most valuable trade assets going into Thursday's deadline? Looks as though we could be trending in that direction where the Lakers might not be able to trade for Jerami Grant, and the Pistons, according to Woj, okay with holding on to him until the summer so they get something better back for him. Here's the Athletic's James Edwards on Jerami Grant. Organization likes Grant, he likes Detroit, but it's unclear at this point whether the two sides will agree to the 4-year, $112 million contract extension that Grant is eligible for this offseason. This is why the Pistons, who currently have the league's second worst record, could elect to wait until the summer to make a definitive conclusion on the future of Grant, who has 1 year on his deal after this year. I think Grant would be a solid addition to Los Angeles. He is an uber athletic player who on both ends of the floor can really give you a lot. Here's the problem, though, with Los Angeles. And I feel as though we're beating a dead horse here. We're beating a dull drum. The Lakers don't have the assets to give up for a marquee player like Jerami Grant. Just simple as that. They lack the draft capital. They lack the player capital, especially young players, to trade away for an impact player like Jerami Grant. The Pistons, second worst record in the NBA. They want to rebuild around Cade Cunningham. Can they do that with Talen Horton-Tucker and Kendrick Nunn? Probably not. Wait until the summer and get something better back for him. As for what Grant has been able to do this year, 4 games back since coming off that injury, 14 points per game, 36.5% shooting from the field, 38% from 3. So I expect those numbers to go up if he stays with Detroit because he's chucking up a lot of shots, and I expect those field goal numbers to get better too as he continues to come back off of injury. Do you want the Lakers to make a splash at the NBA trade deadline? Let me know once more down below me in the comment section. Type S for splash, type T for I'd rather the Lakers sit tight. You let me know in the comment section. Also, make sure you give me a follow on social media. Hit me up at Chase_Senior, Instagram and Twitter. You got a question about the Lakers? Hey, hit me with it, and I'll be sure to get back to you. Love chopping it up with all of our Hoops fans here at Chat Sports. It's looking unlikely for the Lakers, I think, to really make a big splash going into the NBA trade deadline for the reasons that we've talked about. Them just lacking the necessary assets. But you take a look at what The Athletic had to say recently about the Lakers going into Thursday. Most likely outcome for the Lakers is that they stand pat with their current roster through Thursday's deadline, but if they make a trade, it would likely be in the form of moving THT or Kendrick Nunn for a more impactful two-way player. The issue for the Lakers is finding players that fit the criteria. There aren't many productive role players on mid-sized contracts available. The trade market for THT is also significantly cooled since last year, according to league sources. And I told you all this at the time, like, you should have traded away THT for a player like Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry would be so good for this Lakers roster this year in a variety of ways, offensively and defensively. So, hey, I think the Lakers missed the boat, and now because of that, THT's trade value has plummeted somewhat. Do you have a loved one for Valentine's Day? Hey, let me know. Type Y for yes. Type N for maybe next year. Hopefully the Lakers aren't competing for a championship next year. Hopefully it's this year, and hopefully you have a Valentine's Day loved one this year and not next year. Valentine's Day gear available thanks to our friends at Fanatics. Chatsports.com/LakersVDay. A bunch of shirts available for sale right now. If you plug in that link down below, chatsports.com/LakersVDay, you head there and get your girl hooked up with some really fresh Lakers gear. V-necks in different colors, some shirts up to 40% off, some of these shirts as low as $4. Once again, chatsports.com/LakersVDay. Plug in that link and get your lovely lady hooked up for Valentine's Day, with Valentine's Day coming up on Monday right around the corner, by using that link down below. If you want to subscribe to the Lakers Report as well, make sure you turn on those notifications. Therefore, anytime we push out a video, you will be notified. Here's what's funny. The TikTok world trying to help out the Los Angeles Lakers by bringing in Myles Turner. Now, the Indiana Pacers have been very, very busy. They traded away Domantas Sabonis. They traded away Karis LeVert. They're bringing in Tyrese Halliburton. But the Lakers recruiting staff is at work right now because there is a TikTok model who's trying to bring in Myles Turner to Los Angeles. How about this? TikTok model on social media hitting up Myles Turner in his Instagram messages saying, "Come to Los Angeles," as if Myles Turner can control where he goes. Now, he's probably looking at the roster around him saying, yo, my playmakers and teammates are getting traded away. I'd like to get dealt as well, but it's looking as if Myles Turner going to stay in Indiana, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. But it's Pika is doing God's work for at least trying to bring in Myles Turner to the Los Angeles Lakers. Don't mess this up. It's Pika. Try to bring in Myles Turner. He would aid a lot of the struggles for the Lakers in that front court, and he'd be a very good offensive and defensive player for this team, not just this year, but he's under contract the next couple of years. And if the Lakers are looking to add a backup big man, there are some options that we can talk about in addition to Myles Turner. We will run through these names very, very quickly. So this coming from the Action Network's Matt Moore. I have heard from multiple people that they're shopping for a 5, but I'll say this, everyone is looking for a 5, so I think the biggest thing is to make a small move on the peripheries, on the edges, whether it's a backup center, another wing, some sort of small move, then maybe some hope on the buyout market. I'll say that THT will be somewhere else, blah, 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 blah. So the backup center options for Los Angeles, if they can't bring in a player like Myles Turner, Serge Ibaka, Nerlens Noel, Robin Lopez, Jacob Poeltl for the San Antonio Spurs, kind of a stretch big who could work out as well, and then Dwight Powell, another player who could be a backup center option for the Los Angeles Lakers. Before we get out of here, one more question for you. Who's a player you want the Lakers to acquire? A loaded show with a bunch of stuff in today's show. You let me know. Drop some names in the comments section, and thanks for watching today's show.